With all of the free plugins released in the last few years, you'd be forgiven for missing a couple. Now, that's why I made a list of the best ones that don't get talked about enough. Now, before we look at those, we have a new membership. When you sign up, you automatically receive 10 mastering credits, do additional masters each month, and a lot more. We'll cover that in more detail at the end of the video. Let's start with La La by Analog Obsession. Now, Analog Obsession has released an impressive number of plugins, but one that doesn't get discussed too much is La La. As you could tell, it emulates the wildly popular LA2A hardware unit, and to my knowledge, is the only free emulation that actually sounds close to the original. Now, personally, I love that it offers both limiting and compression ratios like the original, a parallel mix dial to blend in the effect, and an external sidechain, as well as oversampling in case you need to compress heavily. It has a super smooth sound, so let's take a listen to it on some bass. Next up, we got Molotok by Tokyo Dawn Labs. So if you like free plugins, you've definitely heard of Tokyo Dawn Labs, but you might have missed Molotok, which is one of their newer releases. It's a compressor with a lot of character and flexibility. It offers 3 weighing options: alpha, which reacts immediately; beta, which uses 2 stages and it's great for bus compression; and then there's sigma, which delays the attack and it lets transients through. You could also find a balance between the settings as well. Also, the attack and release could be set to super quick times, allowing for wave shaping distortion. So let's take a listen to it on some drums. For numbers 3 and 4, we have T-Deesser and T-Puncher, both by Techovation. So a good free de-esser is pretty hard to find, but T-Deesser lets you select a frequency range, set a ratio for the compression, and determine the Q value with the sharpness dial. Now this gives you a lot more control than most stock de-essers, and even more than some of the paid-for de-essers. Now, T-Puncher is a transient shaper that you could use in conjunction with a de-esser to soften a sound source, or you could use it after a de-esser to bring some detail back into the high end of the vocal. So let's listen to both of them, first the T-Deesser and then T-Puncher.
It's been a minute since I stepped outside these gates. It's been a minute since I stepped outside these gates. Where did all the good times go?
For plugins 5, 6, and 7, we have DP Meter 5, GSAT Plus, and Isolate, all by TB Pro Audio. So if you checked out our mastering course, you're going to recognize GSAT Plus, an amazing saturation plugin that I recommend as a free alternative for saturating a master. But DP Meter 5 and Isolate can also be incredibly beneficial to a mastering or a mixing session. DP Meter 5 is a loudness meter with a lot more metrics than your stock meters. It could switch between RMS, EBU or LUFS, and DIAL or LKFS measurement, and even supports measurement of 5.1 surround sound. GSAT Plus offers controllable even and odd-ordered harmonics, multiple saturation types, and 5 channel modes to control what signal is saturated. Lastly, Isolate is perfect for monitoring various frequency ranges. It lets you monitor and force mono, dim the signal, and a lot more. So let's listen to a signal being saturated while we monitor the loudness and isolate various frequency ranges.
I sold my brain to the state, I had to let it go. I couldn't take the weight of it anymore. If you see me, it won't really be me.
For number 8, we have Codec by Lisi. Codec is a unique distortion plugin. It's the only one that I've come across that introduces lossy distortion in a realistic way. By varying the bitrate from 128 kilobits per second down to 2 kilobits per second, we can make any signal sound like an okay quality MP3 or a completely downgraded digital signal. The loss function causes bits of info to drop out completely, while the bandwidth and the crunch functions affect the frequency range and bit depth distortion, respectively. So let's take a listen and notice how it creates unique distortion that's hard to achieve with regular downsampling or bit depth reduction. Next up, we have Chow Tape Model by Chow DSP. So this is, without a doubt, the best free tape emulation plugin out there, but I rarely see it being discussed. The functions available and the quality of the emulation could easily make this about a $100 plugin, but fortunately for us, it's completely free. From left to right, we have control over the input and the output, the affected frequency range, and the affected image. Then, we could dial in our saturation, some soft knee compression, and mild EQ imparted by the tape. Now, some less common tape functions, like gap, tape thickness, and azimuth are included, while various distortion types, like the tape losing some particles, could be emulated. Frequency and pitch modulation could be synced to the BPM, and various hysteresis or tape memory algorithms could be selected. All of these unique functions come together to create a really complex and well-rounded emulation of tape. So let's take a listen and notice how impressive this plugin is when everything is combined. For number 10, we have EQ Curve Analyzer 2 by Bertum Audio. So I honestly love this plugin. It takes the mystery away from Pultec EQs and other emulations, and it just lets you see how your signal is being changed. So just insert two instances of the plugin, the first as a signal generator, the second to measure the change, and you place the plugin that you're curious about in between the two instances. Then adjust any filters or parameters to see how the plugin affects the frequency response. Now, granted, if you don't want to know this info and instead solely use your ears, I totally understand, but I always like knowing what's happening behind the scenes. Next up, we got Filter Step, Pan Flow, and Gate Lab, all by Audio Modern. So these plugins got some attention when they first came out, but not much has been said about them since. They're all free, of course, even though they probably shouldn't be. All three use step modulation similar to an arpeggiator, but instead of pitch or the beat, these change the signal's frequency response, the panning, and gating, respectively. Now my favorite is Pan Flow, which allows you to quickly pan based on the timing of the signal, and like the other two plugins, it could be synced to the track's BPM. So let's listen to three plugins, all on the same source back to back, to hear how they could be used to quickly and impressively create creative processing. Last up for numbers 14 and 15, we have M Auto Pitch and M Convolution Easy, both by Melda Audio. Now, one of the most common questions I get in the comments is, where could I find a free tuning plugin? And for years, this has been the one that I recommend. M Auto Pitch is similar to any auto-tune plugin, but includes width and formant shifting functions. It even has a built-in pitch detector in case you don't know the key. Now, M Convolution Easy is a fantastic convolution reverb plugin with hundreds of built-in responses and the ability to add new impulse responses. Also, if you're feeling creative, the routing lets you add reverb to just the mids or the side or the left, right, etc. So if you need to tune a vocal, or you just found some great impulse responses and you want to add some reverb, you should absolutely check these out. Let's take a listen to a vocal being tuned and then reverberated with an impulse response.
It's been a minute since I stepped outside these gates. It's been a minute since I stepped outside these gates. Where did all the good times go?
As audio engineers, we want to fulfill our creative potential. We want to know how to achieve a sound quickly and efficiently without having to second-guess ourselves or endlessly revise a production, mix, or master. Having mastered thousands of tracks over the past 20-plus years, we know how important it is to put your best foot forward as an engineer or an artist, but what's even more important is having the resources and the knowledge to create your best work. Now that's why we created the Sage Audio Membership, a collective space where you could have your tracks mastered, engage with a thriving community, and learn the skills you need to take your project from start to finish and be happy with the final result. Now, a membership like this is nothing without a strong community. That's why we're giving 10 free masters to every new member. Our goal is to have as many engineers as possible, sharing their ideas, providing feedback on each other's mixes and masters, and helping to build a place where anyone can learn. To give our members a great foundation for successful projects, we created a 4-hour-long mastering course, starting with fundamentals and ending with mastering chains for specific genres. So far, we've seen and heard great results, with both new engineers and seasoned ones noticing a huge improvement in their mastering. Now, a mixing course will be released next, with more in-depth courses to follow. Now, in the past, you probably shared your mixes and your masters with some friends and fellow musicians while piecing together often conflicting info from across the internet to try and improve your productions. But with this membership, you have the option to receive feedback on your mixes and your masters from multiple engineers, including Sage audio engineers. At the same time, you could learn from a coherent, logical, and to-the-point source, giving you the tools that you need to take your productions to a new level. Meanwhile, you could have us master your tracks with your 10 included free masters, as well as 2 additional mastering credits that you'll receive each month. Furthermore, you'll have access to mixed tracks for mastering practice, raw sessions for mixing practice, start-to-finish mixing and mastering chain templates, and plugin presets designed by us. Right now, we're offering a 70% discount for the full membership, bringing the monthly total down to $15. This price is locked in. It won't go up for as long as you're a member. So sign up today to receive your discount and 10 free masters. We're excited to see what you create, and we can't wait to help along the way.